everyone, this is Gayle, and I guess you can see I've got some pretty colors on my work table. And what I'm gonna show you today is just something a little whimsical, kind of cartoony, but I'm going to do a face of a cat in a cane. A lot of people are cat owners. I'm a cat owner. And I usually don't show you my worksheet, but these are kind of my instructions that I refer to once in a while. But I went on to, actually I checked with Google first. Went on Google and just typed in a search for cartoon cat faces. And I came up with several. And what I ended up doing is combining several of them into one cat. And this, other than these little marks here, I don't think I'm going to include those. That might be a little bit more than I want to take on right now. But this is what I'm shooting for. Now, because it's cartoony, that means I'm not going to have the little cat eye type eyes unless you want to. You're welcome to do that if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and start. This is Primo Rhino Gray. And even though it's called a gray, it really looks more like a really nice taupe to it's a brownish gray, if anything. I really like that color. And my cat is more black and brown and gray and all kinds of colors. So I just thought this would be a good color. I'm using wasabi, that instead of surrounding the pupil with white, I'm going to surround it with the wasabi, which I think will make it cute. And then I have black for accents and whiskers and things like that. So let me just, oh, and I have pink. I did want to tell you, this is not a Primo color. Those of you that have been following me on a regular basis, and this is July of 2019, I'm getting my house ready to, well, it's on the market to be sold. So my craft room has to stay pristine all the time, which, as you all know, is not easy. So I am trying not to open any extra clay, so I don't have open clay things sitting around. And I needed a pink. What I decided I wanted to do was to do the nose and the mouth in a pink, and I'm going to add a little bit of pink in the ears. And I didn't want to I was going to open the blush, which is a really nice color, but the blush was a little bit darker than what I wanted, so I had some open fuchsia, and fuchsia is a bright pink, and I just added a little bit of that to my white and blended it, and I think this is just going to be the perfect color. So let me just get those out of the way. I'm going to get this out of the way. And I'm going to start with the eyes. Now this is just a piece of black that I've conditioned, and it's on the thickest setting of the pasta machine. And I'm just going to roll this into a pupil. Don't want it too big. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it. Actually, I'm going to wrap it several times in the wasabi and get a straight line. I'm going to lay that there. And you can do this several ways. You can do it layer by layer. Like you can stop here, cut it off, then add another layer, but I think I'm just going to keep wrapping because I want a thick layer of the green around my black. So there we go. And I can cut this little piece of black off and put it back with my black. This one's going to have wasabi on it. But I'm just going to roll this a little bit. and stretch it. And let me see how that looks. See if I have enough wasabi. Oh yeah, I think that's plenty. Alright, so I'm going to have my wasabi eyes. And I think I'll make this cane about 2 inches tall. So I'm going to cut that one. Matter of fact, I can hear my cat breathing. She must be in here sleeping somewhere. She loves to sleep in my craft room. So there's going to be my eyes. I may make them a little bit oval shaped. I'm just going to mash it just a little bit rather than have them perfectly round. But you can do perfectly round. There's nothing wrong with that. I was just thinking they might look a little better if they're a little bit oval shaped. So there's my 2 eyes. And like I say, if you would rather do the little points at the top and the bottom of the pupil to make it look more like cat eyes, you're welcome. But like I said, this is going to be a cartoony type cat, so I don't really care about that. So there's my 2 eyes. Then I'm going to use the, let me cut, let's see, I'm going to cut this wider piece off of my brown, or my rhino gray. And I'm going to roll this into a ball, a log rather. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger than what I need because again, this is going to end up being 2 sides. This is going to be the cheeks and the whiskers, but I'm going to leave it short and fat for a minute so that it will sit up. I'm going to smooth this seam here on this side a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, just so there's not any lumps. And I'm going to cut here. Let me mark it first. There, there, and there. Can you see how I marked it? So I'm going to cut on those 3 lines. And just kind of keep an eye as you're slicing to make sure you're doing it even all the way down. And I apologize if my hair gets in the way. Alright, and I've got some black I've got rolled out to a number 3. And I'm going to, let me get a straight edge. And I'm going to cut maybe a 1/2 inch wide strip. I didn't trim that very even. And I'm going to lay it down the inside. This is one of the inside pieces, so I'm going to lay a strip down the inside here. And see that I'm not putting it all the way to either end. See, there's gray on both sides here. And I'm doing that for a reason. I'm going to put these 2 back together. Then I'm going to put another strip down here. Whoops, that black is going to come down. No, it's not. It's just the crack. I thought it was the black. Go take another small strip. And run it down this way. and replace the center. I don't know what, no, it goes this way. And no wonder it wasn't matching up. Replace that. And I may just trim this little piece of black off because I don't want it to come all the way into the center of this log. And I ended up pulling a little piece of excuse me while I make a little repair. I pulled off the brown that's in there, so I just want to make another little piece of brown to put in there so we still have our separation. And then I'm going to take this. Now this cat's going to have short whiskers. Could have made them a little bit longer. Okay, now let me reduce this so you can see what it, and then I'll slice it so you can see what's going on here. You've got your seams where you cut it, and try to keep those seams straight. See, this is going to be 2 inches, so I need to roll this out to 4 inches. Almost. There we go. So see, these are going to be his whiskers. So I've got that done. And now we need to do his nose and mouth, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this. I know if you look at this picture, let me get something to point with. If you look at this picture, this shape is about the same shape as that shape. So I'm thinking if I can keep it round on the bottom and this, then I should be able to use the same shape for both. That's my goal anyway. So in order to do that, I've got my round log. And I'm not going to try to do them in the same log because I find that working with something long, I end up messing it up. So I'm going to cut it into 2 pieces. One for the nose and one for the mouth. And I'm just going to pinch at the top. I'm not doing it on my work surface because I don't want the round part to get unrounded. So just pinch the top. Then after you pinch it all the way across, you can try to get it kind of even. Then you can kind of push this a little bit to get it into the shape you want. You can also wait until you get it in your project, but I like to at least get it pretty much in the shape I want before I get started. So there's one, and I'll do the other one. Start with pinching on one side. And this will probably stretch it out a little bit. But you can trim it back to 2 inches after you get it in the shape you want it. Okay, now let me trim this off to 2 inches. And trim this one to 2 inches. I could just cut on one side, couldn't I? Actually, that side looks more even, so I'll cut on this side. Alright, so now we're ready to start putting this together. So, and this is the hardest part because you need to set it up a little bit. That's why I don't like to work in any longer than 2 inches, because it's hard for them to sit up. And just kind of arrange them where you think you want them. I didn't allow for this end to be taken off. See that end? It's not going to make a very good whisker. So I need to roll them just a little bit more. And then line them up and cut off the end. That will make, it still doesn't have whiskers on this end. Let me just trim it off. Well, that's going to be the bottom part anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So then let's put this in here, the whiskers, and let's put a nose. Now I'll tell you what, I want to wrap this, I forgot, I wanted to wrap the nose and I should have done that before. I'm going to have to do these over. Because before I shape it, I need to wrap it. One, two, three, 4. There's my 4 inches. Good thing I had some extra. So then I'm going to take the black and wrap the pink. I also want to wrap the eyes. I didn't do that either. I had my instructions written out right here on my little sheet, but I didn't look at them. Doesn't do me much good to write them if I don't look at them. So I'll do all that now. So wrap your pink. Before you shape it, because it makes it much easier. Just roll it until it meets, back it up, and you'll see a line right here where the clay meets the clay, and just cut on that line, and it keeps you from overlapping. Usually meets up just perfectly. So now there's my cheeks. Although sometimes it's good for you to see that I make mistakes too. But I want to wrap it because I want them to stand out. I don't want them to blend in so much with the brown. Cut just inside that line. I cut in too much this time, so let me just stretch it a little bit. It's one thing I like about clay. It is so forgiving. So there's one eye. Pulled that away, didn't I? Let me cut this and then I'll try to patch that up. Well, you're getting a lesson today on what not to do, aren't you? Now, if I had done this the way it should have been done and wrapped it before I reduced it and cut it, it would have been much better. Let me get my little roller. It's in here. There it is. Nope, that's not my roller. That's something else. I've got everything now crammed into my table over here. And things that used to be easily accessible, I have to hunt for now. Tell you, it doesn't pay to have to do things neatly. There it is. This clay was a little bit thicker right through here where I added that clay. And just smooth it, just so it's covered. It doesn't really matter. Alright, now let's go back. And since I've got this together now, I'm going to go ahead and pinch the whole thing. Remember, pinch on one side. This is the nose that I did in pink a little while ago and then remembered I needed to wrap it. Every once in a while just stop and straighten it out because it's going to have a tendency to curve because of the way you're squeezing on one side. So you just straighten it up. So there's my pinch, and I'm just going to mash this down a little bit. I don't want it perfectly round. I want it a little bit rounded on the top and then pointy on the bottom. Of course, doing it this way, I can't see halfway through what I'm doing. I just have to depend on what the ends look like. So let me cut this off to my 2 inches. And this one I'll cut off at 2 inches. Excuse me, my eye's itching. And that's pretty much what I wanted. I just need this smashed down just a little bit. Okay, now let's go back to where we were before. Let's put our eyes up here. And remember, I want them a little bit oblong. I don't want them perfectly round. So we'll make them a little bit oblong. I probably am making this way too big because I don't know that I have enough brown to fill in my spots. So I'm going to take this is one whisker, and put it up next to the cheeks. And I'm going to take the other cheeks, well, the whiskers, and it's up next to the nose. Then we'll stick this up in there for the mouth. And I'm going to just mash this down a little bit, making them a little bit flatter here. now that I can see how they look. Okay, so there's the nose and the mouth and the whiskers. And we'll set the eyes. Probably ought to take some of this, and I'm not going to have enough of the brown, and I am so sorry. I believe this is the only rhino gray I've got. Use up some of this. I want to take some and put it between the eyes. Go take a double layer to put between the eyes. We're going to set the eyes right on the top of the nose. And put the eyes on either side, because you do want some space. And just make sure everything sticks together. Look at both sides. Make sure everything is in the direction you want it to be in. You see, the back side is nowhere near as pretty as the front side. There's the front side. And these eyes might be a little big, but it is cartoony. But I would like to use as much of it as I can. This one end is going to be a little wonky, and I'm not really worried about that. So now we've got this. So take some of these scraps of whatever color you're using for your cat, roll them into snakes, and then pinch into triangles, because you're going to find you've got some little sharp corners that you need to fill in. Yeah, I just pinched the top of this snake and made it into a triangle. And then you can take the point of the triangle and stick it down in all these little places that have a space. This one is not necessarily a triangle. I can put a little round rod in there. See how I'm filling in these gaps? I'm going to take all these little scraps, squeeze them so that no air gets trapped inside, and then roll it into a triangle. To a log. Oh, and I haven't even made the ears yet. You see, I need another triangle to fit in on the other side here. Actually going to need two more to go on the, that was on the top side of the cheeks. We need some for the bottom side of the cheeks. If you roll your logs thin enough, you don't have to pinch them into triangles. But I like to pinch them into triangles because they seem to fit into that little groove a bit better. Okay. Then I'm going to take a piece about an inch wide, and I'm going to put it across the top. It's not long enough. I'll have to do it this way. Put it across the top. And you take another one, it's not quite as long, or as wide rather. Put it in the center because you want to round off the head a little bit. Then I'm going to roll this in on the number 3 setting. And I'm going to, it's not very wide. I went way past my 2 inches. This is my wonky side of my cat anyway, but it looks better now that I've trimmed it. I'm going to start like up here where the uneven is. I'm going to put this there and roll it around, pressing as I go. And I'm going to go around it twice. You see how much is sticking out the back. But that's the wonky end. That's the one that doesn't have the whiskers that go all the way through. I'm going to give it a little squeeze. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. See, the whiskers didn't even go all the way through that far. I don't know what I did wrong. I might have reduced it too much. Give it a squeeze so that you start to fill in all of the little holes in there. Of course, a cat face is not real oval, so you don't want to do too much as far as making. You can make it round, but I wouldn't make it oval. Now let's make some ears. And I don't know how this is going to work. Let me roll this through the thickest setting again. Take some pink, pinch the top into a triangle, you cut the funny ends off, and then we're going to wrap it on 2 sides. I'm going to lay it down so that the flat part is on the side. This is the flat side here. I'm going to make a little snake. Wasn't careful with that. There's air in it somewhere. I can feel the wonkiness. Let me press it and start over. I'm going to make a little snake and kind of make it kind of pointy just because I want the ears to be pointy, and so this is going to fill in some of that space at the top. Lay it right up against here with the point facing that way. And then bring this down, flip it over and trim it. Start in the middle and press out just to make sure there's no air in there. And we got to make this shorter and fatter, or you can make long and skinny, whatever you want to do. It's your cartoon cat. You can have big ears, you can have little ears. And I'm kind of pulling on it as I go because this needs to be four inches long, or maybe not. It's not 2 inches anymore. It's more like 1.5 inches, so 3 inches is all we really need. So I'll straddle that so I can cut off the ends because they usually get a little weird looking. Cut it in half. I want to flatten his head out a little bit. I don't know about you, but my cat's head is flat on top. And let me cut this first so you can see the face a little better. And we'll put one ear here. And one ear there. Let's move it. Put it over to the side a little bit more. He was looking a little funny. And let me round him up a little bit. He got a little out of shape as I was... The clay is getting really soft. Being summertime, the clay is so soft. And it's so easy to get out of shape. But there is your cat. Kind of got a big nose. See, just that lifting up like that just kind of took his face out of whack. So you might want to he's got a funny looking nose. But that's all right. He's a cartoon, right? So there is my cat. So I hope you like this. Like I said, if you take your time and chill your clay in between steps, it keeps it from getting, like here the eyes are a little bit out of shape, the nose and the mouth is a little out of shape, and it's because the clay is so soft. But you don't have a lot of choice in the summertime. And when I get to my new house, my new craft room is going to have air conditioning. This doesn't have air conditioning, but it does pull in cool air from the other rooms. So it's not totally without air conditioning, but it's not as cool as it is in the rest of the house. But I hope you like this wonky cat. If I had taken more time, I probably could have got him to look better. I could have put thicker whiskers in there. I think I went down to a number 5. I probably would have stuck with a number 3 for the whiskers. But I didn't want the whiskers to be too fat. But this is my cat. Hope you enjoy this. I'll be back again soon with another polymer clay tutorial. Bye-bye.